Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wedding Film School Live. If you are new here or you're here every week, we are super thankful to have you. I'm joined today by my co-host, Jay. As always, or as usual, at least. Jay, how's it going? How are you doing?
It's going so
week?
good. So good. How are you?
I'm good. I was just talking with somebody, maybe I've said this before too. I just feel like I am just nonstop busy. And it's not even like wedding season, But I know one of the reasons that we are both busy, we are getting ready for Clarity Retreat, which is happening in 5 days.
Yikes.
Something like that.
Hopefully it's good.
I've heard the guys hosting it are pretty cool, but I mean, what do I know, right?
I mean, like if you're not going, this is going to be my pitch for next year. And also just kind of the thinking behind it. But we will get to wedding filmmaking reviews. So if you're tuning in to the show and you want to hear some reviews, you can skip forward a little bit. That's why I don't feel bad. So I'm like, get to the point. I'm like, we'll get to it, guys.
The people who are here live, they're ride or die with us. They don't care. They just want to come hang. The people who watch it after, we love them too, but they can skip around. So it's all right.
But when we were like talking about doing a retreat, we love YouTube, but like we're wedding filmmakers first and foremost. And we've always been like, would it be great if we could take what we do and our love for the industry and do something like in person that was more targeted at that kind of audience? And there's totally like, we wanted something that we felt would fit into, what is going on? My back end over here is a mess. But we wanted something that would really, really fit into what we considered to be a need, which is experienced people having conversations about their business. And when we announced it, I know a lot of people still think like, oh, we're having Ray Roman speak. We're having Adam Grumbo speak. I'll be speaking because I have to host a lot of the events. But we wanted something that wasn't built around coming and having a bunch of information dumped into your brain.
Yeah, you're not being talked at was kind of the idea. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but there are a lot of other people or companies or whatever hosting retreats and workshops like that. And so we wanted to do something different. We didn't want you to have, to be talked at. We wanted this, kind of community and this area and space to bounce ideas off of each other, and hopefully really getting a lot of people dealing with the same ups and downs, the same wins, the same struggles. And so it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
And fun.
A lot of fun. I mean, it's much more of a luxury kind of experience. We're at a luxury hotel. We have lobster at one point. Because
I was going to say, if I know Jay, I know the food's going to be good.
The food's going to be good. And we just wanted it to be similar to the experience of the weddings that we want to be covering and the clientele a lot of us want to be working at or working with at a property that you might, have to work at. And just, I don't know, it just like we just want to be different. So we're trying some stuff. So hopefully you have a good time. If you're not coming this year, see you next year. If you are coming this year.
I think we'll probably try to plan out with a lot more time. I think that was definitely a hang-up for some people.
We'll do about 9. We're going to try to give people a 9 months notice this time around. The next time. So, and we'll probably do it in the same time of year. We'll probably do a winter and
it's easier. Except that
cheaper.
You never know at winter. We just got a ton of snow last night. It's like the first snow.
Nice. Anyway, I'm ready to do some films if you're ready.
Do some films. Guys, we're going to jump into our first film here, but if you want your film reviewed, I'm going to post that link as soon as I grab it. This can be live in chat. You can start submitting now if you'd like. We do have a few to go through, and
we should announce it in the Facebook group too. I think people.
I did post the stream in there,
and we also did an email. We've been very focused on the retreat this week. So I'm not going to lie. The live stream bit of an afterthought, but we're still excited to be doing it today, and we're excited to be reviewing some films. So
Sweet. So up first, we have a film from White Phoenix.
I like his work.
Wedding Films.
Their work.
And let's see, information we got here. Groom prep room was very cramped and poorly lit. Otherwise, it was great. Shot
As
on
it is.
XT4. Yeah, seriously. I think this is the 2-minute highlight film, 2-ish minute, but they also got a 12 to 15-minute highlight and a doc edit.
That's me. Yeah, it's about 2.5 minutes.
And that's all we got.
Yes, that's all we got. So here is our film. You can see that I was photoshopping. So loud.
It's like a best friend, but more. It's the one person in the world who knows you better than anyone else. That's someone who makes you a better person, that actually doesn't make you a better person, it inspires you to be the better person. Soulmate is someone that you carry with you forever. It's the one person who knew you, accepted you, and believed in you before anyone else did, or when no one would. And no matter what, you'll always love them, and nothing could ever change that. Jen, I'm truly grateful. I'm delighted that I'm your husband.
That's a good shot.
Yeah. Cool spots.
I want
cool
to
spots.
raise a toast to Jen, raise a glass.
One time I went to an event, Bobby, it was for wedding. It was like actually a really cool thing that a wedding planner put on called WED. And it was like wedding education, and brides went, and it was like totally unique. I've never seen anything like it. It was really awesome, actually. And they had all these great speakers, and they were all like wedding planners and stuff. It was like Engage, but if you invited brides to listen to. And so I was, I spoke, and a bunch of other people spoke, and there was a planner there, and he was talking about like luxury events, and it really stuck with me. And he said, like, the thing that makes like a luxury event special is that every time there's a transition, like if you're walking into a new space, or you're always create an experience, a touch point for the person. And like, whether it be like you walk in, you get a little box, or you have something to interact with, or something to look at. And it really stuck with me, and it's impacted my wedding filmmaking a lot, because I think
kind of capturing those transition zones.
I think transitions are the wedding stories. Primarily. Most of the parts we're putting in our films are the person walking in or walking out of something. Right? You walk into this event, you walk into that event, and if you tell stories that way and you capture all those transitions really well, it's just really effective storytelling. And like you have this shot, right? It's this planned out shot. He or she, whoever's flying the drone, is imagining the way the veil's going to look, and it's well thought out. And it's like, I just encourage people, like, any moment where where people are transitioning and it shows the momentum of the wedding day is an opportunity to be creative. If you can take that, shoot it really creatively, it makes a big difference. So that's why not so much a critique on this, because this is just a good shot, but just a thought in general.
Yeah.
I want to raise a toast to Jen, raise a glass. Jen, I love you. And as I said this morning in the text, I'll be waiting at the altar for you to spend the rest of our lives together and to make that promise.
So they weren't married? Was that maybe the night before?
That could have been like a rehearsal dinner, maybe.
This is like very Western, like
it's
American.
an interesting UK wedding.
Like they're doing all the American wedding stuff. That's interesting.
That's
But you see, like, they're doing a pretty effective job with, like, showing the day move forward. Okay.
Sweet.
Kind of interesting because I feel like there's a lot to like about that, but there's also some stuff.
One of the things, yeah, I mean, I have a few things to point out, but one of the things that I find really, or that I'm really curious about, and I don't think they're in chat right now, is what is the purpose of this film? You know, like sometimes we get these teasers, right? And we talk about the purpose of it. And this isn't quite that, but it isn't quite like a full film either.
Yeah,
I wonder where it fits with their deliverables, kind of.
Yeah, I think just on a unrelated to the film that they cut, I do think that this is a weird length piece, and I would tell them, like, to me it should be 4 minutes or 1 minute. I don't think a two. Yeah, I think a 2 minute piece is either, just too weird.
Yeah, it needs. I mean, again, our opinion, and we're just kind of diving right in here, but I feel like it either needs a little more to feel a little more complete, or it needs a little less to tease you more and to make you want to watch whatever the next length film is.
Yes, that's totally.
What's up, Laney?
I would agree with that. But that being said, just apart from our opinions on the deliverable, what did you like about this film?
Yeah, okay, there were a couple of shots that I really, really liked. We mentioned, you kind of brought up the one that was that transition shot, the drone shot straight down, which is just like, I mean, unique perspective, whatever, but also nice framing. Mm-hmm. You had the tree taking up about a third of that frame, the, I don't know, let's call it sidewalk, whatever, about the middle third, and then the church roof about the right third. So cool that. Cool shot there. There was some really, I like this shot throwing, I don't know if that's flower petals. This shot right here is really nice. There was a couple nice shots of the wedding party. So just some nice shots throughout. You could tell like when they really got the space and time to, you know, be less like documentary style shooting and more like, hey, I want you guys to do this. They executed some really nice stuff. There's definitely other stuff I liked. I just can't think of it right now. So why don't you
so busy and so tired?
My brain is tired.
That's why you need code Clarity Retreat.
Yeah, I need some clarity in my brain.
That's it. I'll see you at the pool. Yeah, no, I honestly.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they said was that the groom's room was really cramped and poorly lit. I actually thought it looked fine. Like, there's one thing that I would bring up that I would do differently in that, but, like, it wasn't... I expected a lot worse. So either it wasn't as bad as you said, or you handled it very well.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that this is crammed, but...
Oh, yeah. But, like, it works. And there were some wide shots in there. Like, I think going down to the bar looked worse than the groom's room. Other than I would close that closet.
There's a bunch of little things with this. I mean, I think it's shooting the wrong direction. I think you could have had to go by the window.
Yeah, yeah. But
I don't think it's super well covered, but I think that was going to be one of my things. As the room is not the issue to me; it's what they chose to do in it.
Yeah.
But as far as what I like, I kind of mentioned one thing that I really like, which is I like the way that they handled the storytelling and the way that they kept you understanding. Like you could feel like then they went here, and then it was very clear.
It really took you through the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like how everything worked, like you felt very connected to the day.
Yeah.
Even like a good sense of their personality. He got in a bunch of little bit of fun, like some romantic stuff, some serious stuff. Like this was good.
Having a drink with the boys.
Good storytelling. You know? Good storytelling, especially for such a short piece. And obviously a lot of really like the drone work is, I think, particularly strong. A lot of this bridal coverage is very, very nice too. Yeah, I mean, this is just good. They did a good job. And I know these cameras really well. So I'm looking at that groom prep, and I'll have my 2 cents on that in terms of Fujifilms. But yeah, it's just you're working with a very rigid day, right? I could tell, like, and and you're making it look very breezy and fun and open. And it looks multi-day. I don't know for sure. This can't be multi-day. People would not wear a tuxedo.
No, I think we got confused on the wording, but I think he actually said in the text I sent you this morning.
Oh, yes.
I said, I can't wait to see you at the altar or something like that. So I think it's all single day. But I also think one of the things, and again, this is speculation, but we see a lot of, a good amount of UK films come through here. And a lot of times they don't include a lot of the stuff that we're seeing here. And it's a lot of just kind of one big, mingling cocktail hour and a little bit of something else. And so I do think that this filmmaker was presented with a lot of, like we said, kind of like Western elements or some different elements than what maybe a lot of weddings might have or might not have. But I also think they did a good job of like capturing those, because especially if that's not normal, like if you're not ready, I mean, shoot, sometimes even when I am ready for a grand entrance, it's hard to capture.
Well, so many people, when they think of like a shot like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like, when I cover this, I don't really care that much about their faces.
I love shooting from behind.
Because I'm more interested in,
right.
yes, I'm more interested
I want
though
to see
in
everybody celebrating,
showing that momentum into the room than I am in showing how their faces looked. There's
Yeah.
a lot of their faces in the piece.
Uh-huh.
And so like, I feel like this filmmaker understood what was
this
important.
shot shows, or this shot from behind, maybe I would execute it a little bit differently, but like that angle is what shows the energy and shows the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And their faces with a couple wait staff behind them and none of their guests doesn't really like show that. So I know for me, if I have a second shooter, I'll put them probably on the front end to get their faces. Of course,
yeah, if you can do it, great.
If I don't have a second shooter, I will almost always prioritize this angle over the the reverse.
Me too. I mean, I'll always have a second too, so I guess I can't speak towards what I would do if I didn't. Yeah. But in terms of what I'm going to use, what I would consider to be a more important shot.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
This is the thing I want to put my focus on, and I feel like they put their creative energy in a lot of good things. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Flip side though, things to work on, of course.
I actually think there's a lot of things they can work on, and it was really good. So.
Yeah, I think it was really good, and I also think I agree. I think there are things that raise questions to me at least.
Sure.
So, I guess. Well, okay, I'll go first on this one. So right off the bat, here's a black and white one, and it's wrong. Unless I'm missing something, there is a typo, and your that ocean shot, you spelled Ireland incorrectly. Unless this is some kind of Ireland thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Fix that. At first when I saw that frame, not taking the typo out of it, I didn't really love it, but now I'm kind of like, oh, it's okay. I don't know, the title card, it could work. But it presents me with two questions right off the bat. One, why is the first shot super close of hands in black and white?
Yep, it's pretty odd.
It can't. I'm not saying a film can't start like this, but it is
also
just
look at
this shot.
Is this a?
It's got to be some kind of prism or some effect.
It's just weird.
It's just this shot.
Close up.
That's black and white. It's just like very. It's very isolated on its own, and so I don't really get that. And then the second shot, which in conjunction I feel like doesn't make sense, but the second shot with the title is the ocean. I'm assuming that's what this is, and there is no other like as far as I can tell, we're landlocked. Like I don't know. It just like it does the ocean play a role in this film at all? It doesn't seem to be a character.
It's hard,
and so
it's definitely not clear.
Yeah, it's not that it's not pretty, but like it almost to me feels like, oh, I have this really cool drone shot of the ocean.
Well, you know what it is like every time you're shooting something, you're not just picking like what if you were driving 5 hours to a wedding, right? And you were like, on our way there's a beautiful valley. 2.5 hours from the venue. So you stopped and you flew your drone because it was pretty. And then you went to the venue.
Hey, White Phoenix is in chat now.
Yeah, and so it's not an issue of like that the person's good or bad. It's just like I do think on some level, and maybe we're totally wrong. Maybe this is like 5 minutes from the ocean, but it's
yeah,
not,
it's just like I
not
would
overly
want
clear
more
just from
context
watching it.
then. Yeah.
So anyway.
Ocean was a request from the bride. It's a seaside city. So okay, I would love to see a little more establishing that. And I think that's kind of where we get into this issue of this 2-ish minute film is just not enough to really. It's just an odd length because of course, I mean, it totally makes sense. You're like, oh well, I've got a lot of events from the day. I can't establish where we are too much, you know. But all that to say, so those were a couple things. There was like a really rough jump cut to me in the groom prep. It was like the exact same angle, and then people were in different spots. And then my other thing, Jay, I imagine you'll probably comment on this, but audio to me sounded like it could use some work. It sounded kind of echoey and thin.
Yeah, it was not recorded correctly.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been like an on mic recorder, and I just think those are totally usable in a pinch, but you gotta mess with them.
People always prefer them, and I'm like,
I don't.
I think the feed is way better.
Yeah, no, that for me, that thing is like a backup. Like if the DJ unplugs my
so
recorder
let me just rant a little bit about audio recording. So I come
also,
from
White Phoenix seeing in chat that he misspelled Ireland. I like it.
I come from an audio background. I played in bands, and I built several recording studios, and so
a man of many talents.
I just am ADHD. So I always tell people if I'm working on something and I get bored, I just start a new company. So, but when you are, the thing that so many wedding filmmakers don't understand is they're always like thinking about the end, like, oh, this is great, the DJ can't screw it up. And I'm like, but it's not the best. Like audio is all about like proximity, right? You put a recorder on that microphone and that person stands in the wrong part of the room near the speaker, what are you going to hear? You're going to hear the person's voice, and then you're going to hear the echo from the speaker.
Yeah.
That sounds like crap. Like, that is not good sounding. And, like, people just don't realize, like, microphone picking things up. It's not that complicated. Like, where you put the microphone relative to your source, like, if you put your recorder 3 feet away from a sound system, it's going to sound weird. And, like, just literally the most direct source you can get is going to sound the best in video. Pretty much always. And the most direct source you're going to get is the thing they're holding closest to their mouth, and that's the microphone. And so that's why I always prefer just to use that thing, and like my second source is going to record directly off the speaker, and my third source would be something like that. That would be my backup of backup of a backup. And
it's the TX660, which I have and I recommend, and I've made a video on it, and I stand by it. But I stand by it being a backup solution and not the main thing that I'm relying on. Yeah,
everybody should have a line level recorder that they're recording and do that. So I have a couple small things.
Yeah.
So as much as I like the way they handled some moments in this film, I'm like, well, this one stuck with me. I'm curious why they cut this way. Look at when they decided to cut away.
On the exit shot?
Yeah, so like I feel like I'm not fully even getting to experience like all that foreground. I'm not like, I don't know why we
like the 3 closest people haven't thrown their
like
what is that? Like
confetti.
Oh.
But then so you're cutting away to that shot, which whatever, maybe you could use it.
You don't know. I mean, maybe it focus shifted or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there might be a great reason for it. But if the reason was just like, oh, the beat hit, time to move.
Yes. And then the other thing is this sequence right here, it feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, photographer is in frame. I do see that on the right side. So maybe they stepped in or something too. But
I mean, I would say like that is on the filmmaker though, right? Like they know that like when I'm covering a sequence like this, I try to keep myself so close to the photographer that if they move, they bump into me, and I'll move with them. Like you
trip them, and you tackle them.
Yeah, I don't tell them to stop. I just want to make sure that the person's going to be like, I want to get that whole sequence, and that's our job. And one of the things that could happen is a photographer gets in your way. So you need to think about what am I going to do? How am I going to prevent this? So,
with violence.
I just use presence. Just make them know that you're there, and because most of the time they're not doing it on purpose. This sequence right here was, I think, a missed opportunity too, because I'm seeing this great energy, right? They're running and it's drone, and I'm like, where's the handheld camera running?
Yeah, I would have loved to see some like close
or
up
gimbal
or like
or
just other angles or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like bring that energy. And then the other thing I was gonna bring up is, I know the room is packed, but like I said before, I don't understand why they chose to shoot it the direction that they chose to shoot it, because I can see this window light on him, and I don't know why we wouldn't just
utilize that a little differently. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, granted, we don't know what behind us looks like here, but it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where what's behind us looks worse.
Well, I mean, I don't even.
And again,
see
I think the lighting is kind of okay. It works. It's fine. It's not as bad as I expected, but like the background here is just
use the light by the window to isolate. Just make the room disappear.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And if for whatever reason there was a great reason to shoot this direction, like close that cupboard, get the stuff off the table, clean up.
I just am saying, hey, listen, filmmaker, these are things you can control.
Yeah.
And you should control them, because I think the storytelling instincts are great and they're good shooters. And I think the next thing for them to grow up is like their actual day of directing abilities. Like, be a director.
Yeah.
That's the thing I saw throughout, and I think that'll make their films a lot better when they step into that voice, and they're able to tell people, like, don't stand there, go here. Oh, hey, I know we just had you running in the drone. Can I run with you handheld and do the same sequence?
Yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, like just kind of
that was awesome.
But it's great. They're great filmmakers, and maybe they have all this stuff, and so that's the other reason why
because this is like the 2-minute cut. So yeah, there might be way more in that 12-minute cut or whatever.
I always like what you do, though. This is a good filmmaker and a lot of really good stuff, especially in the UK. Not to say I have a problem with UK films, but I do find a lot of UK filmmakers kind of use it as a crutch. They're like, oh, well, this was how it was, and they're not pushing it. And I feel like this person's they're always pushing their films harder.
Yeah.
And
I like seeing that too.
Break away from the mold a little bit, and I love that.
Yeah. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna go through some chat.
People are actually
AB
watching
Rich
this.
Films. We got snow, so Brad is here with me in Minneapolis, and we did indeed get some snow. Actually, quite a lot of snow, I would say. What is the usual length of wedding videos? That's kind of not really a super easy answer. I can tell you most of mine are either around the 3.5-minute mark or around the 6.5-7-minute mark.
I would say
those are really the only two lengths I make.
Very much depends on what you're selling and depends on where you live. Mm-hmm. Different cultures have different expectations of their films. In America, I would say we have typically the highlight film, which is the #1 product people are buying and selling.
Yep.
And I would say 5 to 7 minutes, but I actually think that's probably more in the upper echelon. I think in the basic, newer folks are typically doing these 7 to 10 minute films. A lot of times I'm seeing that. I don't prefer that.
I think that has, maybe hot take, I think that's always been the case.
Yes.
I think people who are just starting are including way more than they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And as they learn and they get better, they tighten up as a filmmaker, mm-hmm. and their films just inherently become a little shorter.
You just know what people want to see and what they don't want to see. And I don't know if you could even skip that. There's almost
it's like a learning
curve.
Phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say, that's just what most people do. I don't think that's a thing that you should or shouldn't do, though. You should make a film that feels good. I remember we recently had a film that the person paid for a 5-minute deliverable, and we didn't like it at 5 minutes. It felt better at 7.
Yeah.
So we did it there.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, we've definitely said this before, sometimes you have to be the expert, and that's important.
Yep. Who we got next?
What's up, Ranga? I think I mispronounced that again. We've got Grant in chat also talking about the snow. I was hoping you were going to be here because I know that you were waiting for snow. So you got your wish. And he's also saying my longer than 6 minute film is such a high package price. I don't want to do it. 6 to 8 minutes. Yeah, mine. I take a significant jump from my 3.5 minute film to my like 7-ish minute film.
See, I have a different approach. We have a
But well, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we have a basic film that we include in every. Well, we might sometimes change it, but in general, what we do is we have the base film, and you have to get that film.
Yeah.
It's a 5 to 7 minute highlight film. That's what you get if you hire us, and then you can add other stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like everything is based off that one deliverable. It's kind of our like linchpin deliverable, and it lets
And
us.
so, can you add length to that film to make it a longer one?
No,
Is that one of your?
no. What we let you do
You
is
get a second film.
You can buy a different
That's
film.
longer?
And sometimes
Okay.
we would let people replace it on multi-day. So I will
Gotcha.
only do a 12-minute plus film on multi-day events. Anyone who tries to buy a long film for a single day, we just tell them no
Yeah.
because we don't like it. And if
Yep.
you want someone to do it, go to Craigslist. But
Yeah, I used to only do my longer film. And then I was like, I kind of want to try a shorter film. And then I typically much prefer a shorter film for me. I would do, I think if it was maybe, multi-day, like 3 day, and I had a second shooter, I would at this point in my career contemplate trying something in that like 12 to 15 minute range, but I would not do that as the only film. I would require that they also got, like a 7 minute film or something, or just like I just don't see that as super easy for me to market.
well, it's
So
also
I would want to make sure I got something marketable.
hard to make. You can't make it at every
Yeah,
wedding.
also that. Yeah,
Like-
and like you're kind of dependent. Like, what if, okay, here you go. Ready, Jay?
Yeah,
what
I'm
do you
ready.
do? You get hired, 3 day event, 14-minute film is what they want roughly.
Yeah.
Multicultural event. The entire ceremony is not in English, and all of the speeches are pretty bad, like not really usable, very short.
That's a real thing that happens.
I know, that's what I'm scared of. I don't want to be locked into a 14-minute film with that.
Yeah, no. You end up
I think you probably have another meeting and you're
you
like,
cut
hey,
it slower. You
Yeah.
cut it slow.
shoot everything at 240 frames per second.
You cut it. No, you're done at this point. You've already shot it, and you realized it was bad, right? And you weren't shooting enough B-roll, and then you realized it was bad at 9 o'clock at night during the toasts.
Yep.
That's the scenario. So
You're like, I was hanging
no.
on this being,
Yeah. I
this
think
was gonna save me.
first and foremost, if you have to deliver a long film, this is the lesson I've learned and why we don't get in the bad situation. When I know I have a 12 to 15 minute deliverable, I shoot crap tons of establishing shots and crap tons of B-roll because I don't want to be in that situation. Now, rarely am I, but the other thing is you only have one thing you can do, which is let the toasts go longer. And even if they're terrible, that is not your problem or
you
your
just gotta
fault.
sit on 'em.
You just got to do it.
It does always come back to like I think I was talking with this,
And then you don't put it in your portfolio. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, you just hide it.
It's just,
But like, the thing like that fallback that I feel like I always have, and I'm sure a lot of people always have, where it's like ultimately people are gonna love their wedding film. You
Yes.
know, like it's their wedding, and people like that. And so I kind of feel the same way about toast. Like I think we as filmmakers, especially because we've seen so many, are very like, I don't know if critical is the right word, but when we're on the editing block, a lot's getting cut because we're like, this is boring. This is whatever. This is, but like, yeah, you can sit on, if you need to, you can usually sit on that stuff and the couple will like that. So, Brad asking what the longest highlight I've made is.
but not me. So I'm not gonna answer it.
Yeah. I mean, if you take anything within the amount of time that I can actually remember, I think this is year 17 or maybe 18 or something.
And you're
like
not getting
that.
any younger.
I'm not actually. That's true. That is actually a fact. I don't think I've made longer than like 7 to 8 minutes. I think very early on, I might have.
I did
but,
22 minutes.
Oof.
It wasn't that bad actually,
If
because
it's the right wedding.
it was a 4-day event.
Oh yeah, I mean
with
that's just
a bunch of like extra crap.
that's just 4 or 5 minute videos basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I think somewhere in that 7 to 8, or 8, 8.5, probably something like that. And even that was a long time ago. So, all right, well, now
Cool.
that we've sidetracked ourselves with,
Yep.
and that's a highlight film. I'll make like a ceremony film.
Here,
That's,
while
an
we're
hour.
here, I'll try to find the.
All right, I will go over the details for our next film while you look at things.
If anyone wants to watch this 22-minute film, I'll post a link. It's not that great.
Next film is coming from. Oh, I posted 2 in here, so let me see. All right, this is coming from Brandon Moy, who is in chat, B Moy Productions, and okay, again, I posted 2 in the same row, so if this is not your details, then I'm sorry, but we're gonna watch it still anyway. It is your film. I did check that. So this is filmed on the FX3, the A7S3, the A7R5. I didn't even know that was a thing. And a Blackmagic 6K. So quite the array of cameras, although I guess 3 are Sony and 1 is Blackmagic. Hardest part of the day was moving all the gear across multiple ferries to get to this private residence on... Jay, this sounds like an East Coast place.
Martha's Vineyard.
Chappaquiddick.
I thought it was Martha's Vineyard. He said, "Oh, that's like is that
a small island next to Martha's Vineyard." We're gonna go with Martha's Vineyard. Working with the second shooter, never worked with before, but we meshed well, made it work. Hiring a second with a higher rate than me was scary at first, but I learned a lot with how he framed things and camera and approached the day. Even when taking direction from me, it was worth it. Well, with that, I wonder if Brandon is still in chat. I know he was, but cool. So we got a fun East Coast island, whatever.
Yeah. So I'm
Barry.
If anyone's interested, this is a 20-minute film. Just posted it in chat. This is actually the first film we made under the Huxley Film brand, and it was a
well, kind of ever under the Huxley Film brand.
Yeah, this was one where we were experimenting with long form storytelling, and then afterwards we said, I don't think we want to do this.
And we said, eh.
But that was the experimentation. That's what we were trying. So we tried it. And
Deer Isle, Maine. Is that a cool place?
You would love Deer Isle, Maine. Like it's a rich yuppie town, but also mixed with lobstermen.
Wow, what are you saying about me? I'm a lobster man.
Well, and then they have all these like fancy restaurants, and then also all these dumpy dive bar. It's like really.
That does sound like something I would like.
And it's beautiful and it's awesome. It's really nice. I love it.
Love it, love it. Oh, there you go. You can watch
Here
that.
Here it is. Here's a film.
If you want.
Is this the only? We only have the minute teaser. Is that what I'm hearing?
I can't see the time there. Hold on. I'll check here. When I go to this and I click on this, and then it is, yes, a minute teaser is all we have.
All right.
So let's make sure we frame our, I
think we're good.
Frame our critique based on that.
We need a couple films, guys. So if you want us to review your films, we'll probably do a couple live ones. So go ahead and submit a film. If you haven't done one in a while, please do it. Even if it's just show us your best work and let's see how it goes. Or maybe your worst one.
Ever.
No, give us the worst wedding film you've ever done. Critique. Send us your first wedding film and we'll critique it as if it's your latest. Brandon, who was the planner at this one? Was this KG Events? Okay.
Sweet. All of you go first this time if you want. What are some things that you liked about it?
I mean, I obviously has great shooting. I love the drone work is really nice. They made sure to include a lot of stuff that brought a lot of energy, which I think is always good for a teaser. And also, the details. They had a lot of the details, and I think this did a pretty effective job making a person want to see the full film, and if they didn't want to see the full film, I kind of feel like you got a good. I think a teaser should definitely do that, but it also should make a person who maybe doesn't get the opportunity to see the film because the couple doesn't share. Like there are couples who would share this, but not the whole film.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you're like this person's cousin and you watch this, you would be like, oh, that day looked awesome. I remember this really, really psycho bride that we had years ago. One of the most rudest people we ever worked with. And literally when she got her film, this was what she said, but it was always stuck with me a little bit. And she said, oh, I want all my friends who couldn't be coming to I want them to watch this and feel jealous that they didn't get invited.
All right.
And I was like, that's what you want?
like a little bit of a red flag, but okay.
Like, no, she said it afterwards. That was her critique when she wanted some things changed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, red flag, I'm just saying, like, doesn't matter when it pops up.
It's like a really psycho thing to want the people who you chose to not invite to feel even worse.
Yeah.
But it did make me think. It's like, yeah, that's what I want too. Like, I want anyone who watches a teaser to be like, dang, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
And
what a good time.
I feel like it did that.
Yeah, I mean, granted, okay, so it's 60 seconds, so we don't have a ton to go off of. I will echo the drone stuff. I actually think the drone stuff might have been the strongest shooting.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I thought it just looked really nice. And it was also used appropriate amounts. You know what I mean? Like 60 seconds, what do we see? 2 drone shots, I think. And they added to the hype. They might have been a little speed ramped or something. It looked good. Yeah. I love the energy. I think that's really important in a teaser film.
Especially if you're just going for the hype teaser.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, we hit on a beat and we never slow down. And so I think, a bunch of the confetti and stuff and dancing and whatnot. And I also really like the last frame that has the title card on it. I like the use of black and negative space, and whether that was entirely in camera or a little bit manipulated. I think
the last one
really well. The black and white.
It's a cool frame.
Yeah, it's just it's a nice way to end it, and it also looks like. I feel like that feels kind of high end or something, I think it fits. Yep. I think this was obviously a nice and expensive wedding, and I think it kind of fits in there too.
Yeah.
Of course, with anything. We probably have things that we would change or do differently, and hard to say right or wrong, but things that that we might change. So what does that look like for you, Jay?
So I would rework this entire thing if it was me. First of all, this sequence, this is going to be my ending. That's not going to be at the beginning. And then the other thing is so when I, as a musician / filmmaker, the connection between the sound and the audio, and not just the cuts, but the movement, it's pretty important to me. Mm-hmm. And this film, especially the beginning, I just was I was wanting some things to be hitting differently. And so
I actually had a question about that because, Jay obviously knows, and I think a lot of people who watch this frequently know, I'm seeing this through mine and Jay's Zoom call. And so sometimes, things just get a little dicey, but were a lot of the cuts not really lined up with those hard beats?
Nope. Like,
Okay, so I wondered if it was like lag or something, but yeah, okay.
so
Sorry,
like
continue.
when
But
I
that's
look at
good for me
this,
to know.
like just in terms of like I do this with my guys a lot. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you're if it looks weird, but it's just the best way I can communicate. Like when I'm like, kind of like. So you got to do that too. Like that's how I would have cut that.
Yeah.
Na, 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 na,
That
da, 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 da,
drone,
da,
or
and, like,
droning.
but also like that movement is part of it too. It's not just cut.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
like,
we had a really interesting. Do you remember last week there was that? Was it like a ding or there was some noise, and we were like, "Man, this shot moved so well with that noise." Do you remember
yes.
that?
Yes.
I don't remember what it was, but
I just was doing an edit today, and he lined it up with the beat. I said, "Don't line it up with the beat. Line up this shot when the piano goes ding, with when the bride goes like this. Don't line it up. Don't cut. Like line it up with the action.
yeah,
Like not just the cut." And I think that's like advanced editing. A lot of people are just like cut, 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 but it's like this is a cool song, and I think if you could be a little more picky with the way it feels, I think it would be better. Not to say it's bad. When I say I would rework it, I'm not saying it's bad. This is very good. But
maybe just like it has the potential to be like there are some awesome shots and content. And you got a lot of cool stuff to work with.
It's just what I would do.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple like really iffy drone shots, or like right here. That is not
a drone.
That's
is
a
it?
gimbal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like this shot.
I was like, I like the drone. What? Yeah, I have a couple similar
That
things to
is
say.
there's
I have
some
a question,
serious
though.
warp stabilization.
Is that aisle straight?
They're never straight.
Well, sorry, not like is it straight up curved? Is it like an S shape? Go back to that shot and freeze frame. If you can. Hello?
Sorry, I'm just looking at what Brandon said. I'm not watching it through stream. I'm watching it live. Just so you know.
Yeah, Jay's watching live. That's just me. No, go to...
I'm just seeing if he's
Okay,
right.
stop. Ah, you're too late. Yeah. Like, does this look like it straight up curves? Like, not like, oh, it's a little off center. Like, it looks like it just curves.
Yeah, I mean, it needs
right?
it needs a lay.
But even so,
it needs a flat lay drone shot. That'd be my opinion. Anytime you do an interesting aisle, always shoot a flat lay.
I guess Brandon's in chat.
Yeah.
Like, intentionally curved aisle, winding road. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Whenever you shoot an interesting aisle, Brandon, my opinion is you got to flat lay that with the drone, because planners freaking love that in vertical. You give them that frame, you will be on their feed. So, because that anyway,
I have a few things. Okay, so first, a couple shots that stood out to me. One is this one. Why are we so low? I know we work our way up. Two was that gimbal shot that you brought up, Jay. I think the curved thing is, I think you can totally still do that gimbal shot, but it looks like it's like, I don't.
Well, hey, let me propose this.
It's like off axis or something. I can't quite explain it, but it doesn't look right. And then I think you're doing a dolly zoom in it too.
Well, there's also
which can be cool, and it's like super stabilized.
Yeah,
like, was it done on a gimbal? Maybe not.
No, it's on a gimbal. The thing I was gonna say, the entire film needs to be shot. Not the entire. A lot of these moments need to be shot wider. Like I feel like it's like a 50 mil or something on a gimbal.
That was a nice wide shot in there, but yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff here, but it's just little things. Like I'm feeling like we're looking at like a lot of the shots, the composition is like the person.
Well, so my thing that I was kind of getting to was, I feel like there's a lot of a couple shots stood out, but one of the things that was more a theme in a handful of shots was, I feel like the horizons are kind of iffy. They're kind of slanted on a lot of things, and so I think that would be something to be a little more conscious of. And then I necessarily mind it as much in the tent, but there were definitely some shots where some stuff was blown, I feel
Well,
like.
it's the same thing. I think the same thing that you were seeing earlier or later when you were talking about the frame where they were kiss like at the altar, like
Oh,
it's the
yeah,
same.
yeah.
It's the same framing as right here. It's the same thing. It's like it's composed too low.
Yeah, or too tight or something. Yeah.
But I think it's actually too tight, and I think that's why I'm saying is like I feel like you just need a wider lens on your gimbal because you can compose a little more liberally and fix things in post. If you're pretty much locked into what you got with this stuff, and so that's all I'm saying.
Also, I think I don't think I've ever had a winding aisle, but I agree. If I had that, I would definitely want a top-down shot of it. I think that really shows what it is. I think it would be really hard to show it otherwise, honestly.
Yes, it looks like a mistake from the front, but on the top it looks good.
My one other thing that I would say is like I think this can totally work as a teaser like this, but I think I like a little bit of dynamics to my teaser. Like we are immediately dropped into upbeat and we never leave it. And I think some of that could be more impactful, even with a 5-second like tone that builds and intros us or something. You know what I mean? Like just something where we breathe, whether that's in the middle, at the end, or in the beginning. But yeah,
it's very solid, Brandon, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at Clarity in a couple of days.
And some great, just like some cool. It's a beautiful wedding, and you made it look pretty. So, that's what we're after. All right, got another film here.
Yeah, you can see it here. Look, see the aisle?
Oh yeah, that's true.
You gotta flat lay that, bro. Gotta.
That's a cool.
This is like we have a place. We have a fair amount of this up here. This is like private estate.
Yeah, just like mega mansions on a freaking island.
Yep. That's where the money is. So good getting it.
Apparently. All right. Well, should we move on to our next film?
Yes, let's do our next and final film, unless something else comes up.
Something else that interests us. All right, this is longer, so I think we're gonna watch, what do you say, like 30 seconds of the intro, bump into a minute in the middle, and watch the ending or something.
Yeah.
This is like 10 minutes, I think. So, shot on a Sony A7S III, coming from Lisa May Films. Bride and groom were super happy. Their DJ threatened me, but I still got good audio. Wow, that was a whirlwind.
Threatened me.
What a roller coaster.
Wow.
Highlight and teaser.
Come here. Come over here, you. Hey, if I see you do that again,
me?
I'm going to punch you right in the mouth.
All right. That's actually what we're talking about at Clarity, is how to defend yourself against unruly vendors.
I mean, I will say, if you were going to get threatened by any vendor, it's definitely going to be the DJ. Like, they're definitely the most likely to also fight people.
To also threaten you.
Yes.
All right, so this says client purchased a highlight and teaser, which begins the film. So maybe they did the teaser and then started the highlight film with the teaser, is what I'm hearing maybe.
Okay, I like that.
We'll find out. Yeah, I don't know. I think I could be into that.
That's a smart way to. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
I had to make sure the audio was actually on.
Here we don't go.
Sick parking lot. The audio is mixed so bad, Bobby. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't really always tell.
No, it's like every piece of on-camera audio is peaking out. It's just
critique one.
It just hurts me, so I'm trying to get the courage to.
It hurts you physically and emotionally.
No, it literally just hurts my ears. I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm saying it actually hurts. So call me a man on a mission. I'm guilty by my own admission. Sorry, I can't move. I have to say this.
All right. take the headphones off and just watch visually.
No. What I was gonna say is, you have a piece like this, and you have a song that's like really loud hi-hat, like, and then like all this talking. I get what they're trying to do, and it's a good idea. So first I want to acknowledge that it's good to have audio from the day, but you got to make sure it doesn't sound so chaotic like that. Just mix it down a little, that's all I'm saying, guys. Like, I feel like they didn't turn off any of the audio. They let it all play, and I think that's a mistake. Do you want to move forward a little? We did about 45 seconds.
Let's go.
Let's see how this goes. I like the idea, by the way. So it's just the execution. I think it needs to be. What do you want to see? Like dad first look?
Let's go to that speech. No, later.
Here?
No, let's just catch the tail end of it. No, later. Well, that works too. Whatever.
In our backyard, in walks Bob. I think.
Wow, look at that podium.
I think I smelt his cologne before I actually saw him. The next day I saw it in her eyes after they stayed up most of the night talking and talking and talking.
Sure they did, Mom.
Months and years, I saw her future in Bahab.
Carissa, a.k.a. Squirrel, my daughter.
Let's jump forward.
You are probably wondering why Squirrel. Well,
no, that wasn't one. It just wasn't.
Some cocktail hour, ceremony. This is tough because we're only reviewing 2-ish minutes, and it's like such a small percentage of what this film is.
We're only reviewing what we're watching, so we're not reviewing the whole film. We're reviewing the parts we watch. So keep that in mind, guys. It's like sometimes people will say, "Oh, you can't tell from 2 minutes." I think that person's totally wrong. I can totally tell. Like if I pop into something and like you watch 2 minutes, and out of the 2 minutes, 50% of the audio is mixed wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a filmmaking technique thing that I can critique. We're not critiquing the 10-minute film. We're critiquing the parts we watch. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so this ceremony kind of get going.
Unconditionally, without hesitation, to encourage her, to trust her and respect her. Your promise to work to create a home filled with learning, laughter, and compassion, to keep her in sickness and health, forsaking all others for as long as you both shall live. I do. For those of you in the back, he said, I do. I do.
All right. Let's just watch them leave, and then we'll get to that.
Without further ado, Vaha, you've been waiting a long time. You may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, Mr. and Mrs. Vaha and Carissa.
That guy is screaming.
He would be the guy who would peek out your lav mic.
Yeah. Yeah. The fabled peak lav mic.
I think you have 32-bit flow. Yeah, like hear that?
Yeah, that one I do hear.
Absolutely blown out. You can't include it. Like right here, I'm just.
Let's jump to the end, and we've already been on this a while. I feel like.
Yeah.
See some party and see how they end it. Oh, we got some energy. I like that.
Very overexposed. Okay, so why don't you start and do? And I'm gonna do both of mine together because I want to do my negative. Yeah, like I think this film is. I think they're in a particular place in their career where we can do both.
Yeah, okay, so things that I liked on this film, I liked seeing at the end that you brought some energy. You know, like I said in the last one, I was like kind of seeing some dynamics, some ups and downs, and I think this film had that. I mean, I know that we bounced around, but um, I like the incorporation of a teaser in the front. I think that's interesting. I've always, you know, we talk about these like, I don't know what I've called them, Jay, like intros or
I
something.
just call them intros personally.
Yeah, but like I think a teaser a lot of times can work as an intro. I don't know how long this teaser was, um but yeah, so you know, I always think especially on a longer film, it's fun to have kind of this like little recap of a variety of things in the day, front load with some of what you might think are your favorite shots and moments and things like that. I also think, you know, I have some issues with the shooting and stuff, but you did get a lot of coverage. I can't deny you that, which can be tough to do, of course. And then the last thing is, you know, I know the audio was peaking out, the on-camera stuff. I heard it here and there, and for me to hear it, that's tough. And I can only imagine what Jay will say or what he was experiencing in those moments. But I will say that I think the inclusion of audio, although I think you should maybe be more selective, and of course, certain things you just can't do if it's peaking out, but the use of that can really add some cool elements to your film, and so I think like the mindset is a nice one to have, and so there's some good stuff there. On the flip side, things that I would change, I'm going to focus on just a couple things. One of them, the shooting for me is kind of all over the place. There are some nice shots throughout, but there's just a lot of what feels like unintentional movement, handheld that really needed to be stabilized a little bit better, or a little more conscious of the fact that you were handheld, or add some weight to your rig or something.
Look at this shot, and then like this is a good example of like, right. You know, the girls are out there, they're having a nice moment. That's weirdly composed, but then like to me, this is not a shot that should be in your film of her posing, holding.
Yeah. And
the
so
photographer might want to take that or whatever, but when it's on video, it just looks fake.
Yeah, so for me, like there's kind of two things that stand out, which is the shooting. I think again needs to be a little more conscious of being handheld or stabilized or change your rig a little bit. There's a lot of, was it with you, Jay, where we were talking about like the steering wheel?
Yeah, like,
you know, there's a lot of this, and that looks cheap and amateur, and you don't want that.
It's like your cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. And then yeah, again, like what you include. And I know this comes up every handful of streams we do, and you're totally not alone in this. And I don't know where you're at in your career, but you know, we talk about like a lot of shots that I don't think are your best shots or portray people the best or work well for video, or they might work for photo or something like that, like Jay was saying. But it also gets to this idea of like, can you explain to me, if we were in a room, why this film is 10 and a half minutes? And I think it would be really hard to justify this length, and I don't think it needed to be this long. And I think
there's a lot of reused shots.
Yeah, and so like I just think
like this sequence of them, this sequence right here of them, that shot was used. That sequence of them like smoking the cigars, it was just over and over again. So yeah, to your point, I totally agree.
So yeah, I think we talk about like you being the expert, and I understand too that you can get caught, right? You book somebody a year out, they book this package that maybe you no longer offer because a year later you're like, well, these films are way too long. And so like there's a lot of variables at play, and I don't know the situation, but I would look at tightening up your films. We talked about that being kind of a general path that a lot of filmmakers end up on, whether or you need to be more conscious of what you're including, and I guess have more stuff to include or something.
I mean, I think it's really just like you have to know your own filmmaking and your own product and know what it takes to do it. And like I can tell typically, not always, but typically, like, can I make a certain length film based on knowing a little bit about the day? Or I know what I need to do to make the film that long. And I think a lot of people, they don't really connect their production and their consultations to their deliverables. They just set their deliverables up and they go, okay, I want 3 packages. And this is why I don't recommend people do 2-minute film, 4-minute film, 8-minute film. Because in order for someone to get that, for you to get paid the most, you have to potentially make your worst product, which is not the way you should be. You should have a very strong connection of like, what am I selling someone and what does it take to make it? And you should, whoever's buying your biggest package should get your best film.
Yeah.
Like, and like, that's my thinking. It's like, I'm going to give you other stuff, but I'm going to give you my best film. I'm not going to let you set down, like, well, I want a 10-minute film because I'm paying the most.
Yeah, you don't want the client to be like, they shouldn't be the decision maker in everything. I mean, they need to feel like the decision maker. They need to make the decision, but you are making a handful of decisions before they even get to make a decision.
Yeah, you're the one who's educating them on what they should want.
Yep.
Like the average person coming to the door doesn't even know. Now, we don't know that situation happened here, but I tend to agree with you that that's probably what it is. And they probably did the best they could with what they had. And they were excited because the person bought a big package. And then halfway through, they're like, dang, I got to make a 10-minute film from this.
Well, and then the tough part too is like, well, they did have the teaser, so that's nice. But like the tough part that I think happens then too is like the reason I don't offer 12 to 15-minute films is because I don't like many 12 to 15-minute films.
They're tough.
And so I would then have to cut something that's 3.5 minutes if I thought it was a great wedding, or, you know, like you do where you have your base film and then they can add another film. But like, there's a lot more at play there. And so, yeah, if I only got booked for a 12 to 15-minute film, I'd be like, well, shoot, I either need to do a lot more work because I need to make another film, or I can't really even use this in my portfolio.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, you can go.
I'm just going to tell this person that they have very strong storytelling instincts, and a lot of the things that are not good, in my opinion, are actually coming from very good ideas. So, like, I think most of the mistakes are actually a function of like they haven't fully realized their own filmmaking style yet. There's certain things that are important to them that they should do that would be very different than what I would do, and that's good. Right? Like, there's a way to execute and a way not to execute, but at the end of the day, there also is a lot of different types of films you can make. Like, I think they're going to want to hold on moments more. They're going to want to show more of this. Like, I don't know who they're inspired by, right? But it's someone who's probably making films like that. That being said, if your style is on camera, like lots of ambient audio, longer shots, you got to nail it. You like okay, you're shooting using on-camera audio, you can't have it peeking out. Like right here, like this, you want to show this whole moment. Like, I'm gonna turn this music off and just show the way this moment was covered. And they didn't have to include this whole thing in the film, but they did, Bobby.
Yeah.
And they wanted to. So like this guy goes here, right? That's like real time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't show that gimbal adjustment.
Yep. That was definitely one of those things that stood out to me, where it's just like unintentional camera movement.
It's so much immersion breaking. Like, I become aware of you, the filmmaker. And that's the whole thing about really, really good filmmaking is like when mistakes are made, like, you know, just kind of either editing that's too loose and you're not cutting things out that should be cut out, or you're just making mistakes in camera, like you start noticing the filmmaker instead of noticing the film. And I felt like that happened a lot. And then the last thing I would just say is something is up with your exposures and color. And I find it to be, it looks underexposed. Like so many moments look underexposed to me.
A7S III is all we have here. So
this is an A7S III, and it looks like this.
Yeah, that camera has a lot of latitude.
You could put that thing 12,500 and crank up your aperture, and it's just
12,800. I just did
800.
I second shot, Jay.
Nice. Was that fun?
Yeah, I did it for the Drakes last year. And then I did it for a guy who was in town, lives in Arizona, who was shooting a wedding here, and it was a fun time. It was, I think people who know me know that I like shooting. And so I just kind of enjoy second shooting. I think it would be hard to make a career out of it, but part of me is like, I would love to just shoot and then
Be done.
be done.
I mean, that's what my friend Rich did. He became
also,
a DP, but
yeah, hard to, at least on weddings, you'd have to shoot a heck of a lot of weddings to make a living doing that. But really fun. I always love seeing what other wedding filmmakers are doing and how they're approaching things. And, I'm not really making any calls on the day, right? Like, I'm just following orders. I'll shoot how they want. But so it kind of forces me to explore other creative boxes and stuff. And so, those who know me know that I don't shoot log. But I was shooting log for this wedding, and so playing with that 12,800 ISO.
It's fun.
Native ISO and whatever, and yeah, it was some cool stuff.
And then the last thing I was going to point out is, again, back to the audio. Like, I just think like this filmmaker should really think about the visuals matching the sound. Like listen to this sound and then look at what's happening on camera for this sequence.
Stayed up most of the night talking and talking and talking. Over the next
Or even listen to the story she tells.
weeks, months, and years, I saw her future in Bahab.
Sorry, right here. So she roasts this guy, right? She roasts this groom.
Has been a homebody. But on her 25th birthday, in our backyard, in walks Bahab. I think I smelt his cologne before I actually saw him.
Like, she roasts him, right? And to me, that's like, put that in the intro.
Yeah,
it's funny.
And then like, dig,
and then like this guy's like messing around.
And he likes it. They're laughing at him.
Yeah. It's like messing around, and like there's just a lot of stuff where it's like overly serious audio going with this clearly not serious couple. Just I felt like there was a big disconnect between the way that was the one part of the storytelling where I was like, I like their instinct to include this certain things. I think they need to match what the music they're choosing with what I'm seeing, and what I'm hearing tonally a little better, so that it feels like fun parts feel fun. Like if you're watching someone telling like a story and they're roasting someone, and the emotion you're setting them up for is like they're sitting there watching the piece like this, Bobby, like when they're fighting back a tear, and then you just expect them to react to a joke. They're not going to do it. So
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be mean. Like Lisa made this is a very solid film, but I think they need to tighten it up a lot, and I think it's going to allow them to go to that next level.
Yeah, I hope she comes back and watches this. I don't see her in chat right now. I mean, you never know. Sometimes people just aren't super vocal in chat, which is totally okay. But I have seen her name around. So yeah, I hope that.
I know she's a good filmmaker, and like I also know like not everything works out at weddings.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Cool.
Sweet. Well, thank you to everybody for joining. We will not wait. Are we going live? Like we're gonna try and go live from. Wait, no, we can't. I'm gonna be flying. Should I go live from the plane?
Yeah, you'll be in a plane and I'll be in a car.
All right, perfect. So most likely
no live stream next week.
No live stream next week because we will be at Clarity out in Boston. We'd love to have you all join. Excited to see some of you. We're gonna be learning from some of the best and really just building community and bouncing ideas off of each other and resetting, recharging, having fun, eating good food, not being talked at, being talked with or something. I don't know.
And the other good news I was going to tell people about, Bobby, is the new season of the podcast officially kicks off next week. We're going live with our first episode of our Ask Me Anything podcast.
Love
so
that.
If you want to submit,
could you give a brief explanation of where the AMA podcast is going to fit? Like, is that something that's just going to fill certain episodes of the podcast?
We are going to do some interviews this year, but we're just going to be trying to much more reduce the me and Jared riffing on a subject podcasts, because I just typically I prefer to answer people's questions. I prefer to like actually help people
to get what they want.
So
so help us build the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna I was gonna put a link for everybody.
That would be great.
If you would like to submit a question for Jared and I to answer, about your wedding filmmaking. We
Or
might do
just
some.
in general,
Yeah, right
or
here.
anything.
If you have a
What
question,
are your burning questions? What are you struggling with?
literally, we've had a fair amount, and we've answered as many as we could. But they've been awesome questions. We got like a couple episodes recorded, and I'm really excited. It's really, really good content.
I
And-
really like this stuff because we're giving the people what they want. Jay,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. But I also really like it because I think sometimes it can be hard, especially as people who have been in this industry a long time. Like we've often said to ourselves in our conversations, Jay, like sometimes we just don't know what, like we probably could help on a topic, but we don't even know that topic exists. We don't even know that that's the hurdle that a lot of people are seeing because it didn't exist at year 3 when we were doing this or whatever. And it is something we tackled later, but we tackled it with 10 years of experience under our belt already or stuff like that. So we do love getting these questions in from you guys. We'd appreciate submitting anything
Totally.
you've
I
got on your
mean,
mind.
it's. I always try to like. It seems like I'm bragging or something. And I'm just like quite literally. I don't barely remember what it was like, and when we started our business, everything would have been different, you know. But I definitely don't
different
remember
time.
like all the questions people have. The amount of times I'm like, people don't need to know about that. Sure, Turner Fan Reports. Go ahead and answer. I'll answer your question right now. I'll give you a little taste of what the podcast is like. Go for it, and I'll wait for your question. I'll keep rambling, but
Put the question, Turner, put the question in chat.
and also
here.
yes, we still are
And
working.
also
on,
put it in the AMA. Maybe we'll do a longer discussion. on it.
yeah, do both, but go ahead and put in chat if you want. But yes, we still are working on the Tolman Media video. We just had to give it a little bit of a break to actually work on A, sponsor content that people want us to make, B, BTSs, C, a retreat, D, all the weddings. But in about 2 weeks, actually, we're picking that up again. Honestly, what happened with that Tolman piece, Bobby, is we opened up the door and the floodgates of people want to, like, literally, I have an interview with the owner of Tolman Media. Whoa, what happened there?
Yeah, that was weird.
I have an interview with one of the owners from Tolman Media. I have all this. I got so much dirt that I was like, oh crap, this video is going to be like 45 minutes long. Like it totally changed the scope. I thought we were just going to get a little bit of information. So it's actually been a lot harder to make than we thought. Okay, so this is what he says. Audio. How do you manage to set up volume as ceremony volume versus ceremony volume on one-man show when DJs are riding the moment and the WWE are busy elsewhere? Do you want to interpret this for me, Bobby? This question?
Yeah.
How do you manage setup volume versus ceremony volume? Oh, okay. Saying, how do you set the volume? How do you
like
set your
the
input
DJs
volume?
are going up and down.
So first of all,
Like
that
the
does not happen to me. I would tell people, don't do that, and if you do that to me, you'll be screwing me. But this is what I'm going to tell you. This is like an easiest trick. If you are having an issue with your levels on your gain structure, and you're constantly finding that people are louder, I never test the audio ahead of time. Like mine is making sure it's working. I don't listen to it. I don't worry about levels. Simple thing. You either get a 32-bit float recorder, and you have a lot more. But the easiest thing is you just get an XLR splitter, and we record one of them at like level 3, and the other one at like level 6.
Or get a recorder that just does that inherently.
Yeah, I don't know that there are any line level recorders that do that inherently.
Doesn't the DR40 dual record?
Does it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Regardless,
it does like one at whatever.
I'm
one
assuming
at like
if he had
12.
that, yeah, he would do it.
True.
Like you could do this for like $10 with whatever you have. Even a quarter-inch get a quarter-inch and XLR splitters. Everyone should have this, by the way. Anytime you record a source, I always record 2. And you just record one really low and one at a normal volume that like is your ideal. And then if they get really loud, you can use the other source. And if they get quiet, you can use the other source. But it's just dual recording and splitting your audio with an XLR splitter and just setting your volume level, your input gain levels a little bit lower on one and higher on the other. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I use that F3 that I just posted, which is 32-bit float. But I will say that I just started using that this year. I used the DR40 forever. That thing's like a dinosaur.
Yep.
And I just think the other thing too, Jay, I'm not always plugging into a point in the relay of audio that would be affected by that.
I'd say I'm about 90% doing that. And then
like there are places that you can plug in where the DJ, you can split the audio out of the receiver.
I never do that. This is why
I don't split it out of the receiver, but I do take it out of the receiver.
I don't.
Sometimes with the
I know a
quarter
lot
inch.
of people do that, and like this is me being a bit of a difference person. Like the reason why people record directly out of the receiver is because they're trying to avoid that situation that that Turner Family Portraits brought up in case he changes the gain level. I get that. I understand why. I record it off the back of the powered speaker, off of the mono out, because I like to hear what is going on without having to look or listen. So like I know that whatever I'm hearing right now, the couple's
It's
also
what it
hearing,
is.
and it is what's going into the recorder. So I'm standing across the room, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is popping.
Yep.
The couple knows. Everyone knows. So I'm not going to get in trouble, and I don't stress that much. If my audio is messed up because I did everything correctly and some idiot messed it up for me, like I just don't stress that much. So anyway,
so I do similar. I put a DR10X into the back of a speaker, which is $100, and I will post a link if you want to check it out. But I put that in the back of the speaker. Ideally, I can just use that, but I prefer taking out of the with my F3. I prefer taking out of the receiver of the mic, because I can get the music elsewhere, whether it's from the 10X or on-camera audio or something. And it's not so much levels for me, but that often sounds, if there's ever like noise or something, it is usually introduced after the receiver. If there's a buzz or hiss or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
typically,
I'm sure. But all right, well,
cool.
We answered a question.
Hey,
there you go.
Hopefully, by the way,
taste of the
what you
podcast.
learned from that is there are a lot of ways to do things. The point is to get clean audio.
Yep, for sure. Cool. We'll continue to submit those questions at the link that Jay posted. We would love to use them in our podcast and answer the questions that you actually have, rather than us just choosing the topic. We will not be here next week. We will be at the Clarity Retreat. I assume we'll release some kind of video or something about that after the fact, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we're shooting BTS. We'll make some content.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in 2 weeks, unless you're coming to Clarity, in which case we'll see you then. And keep an eye out for the podcast soon, and we'll see you later.